Hello, it's Rory at Culloden Painting Studio. Today's video is the third part in our Intro to Napoleonics series, and we're moving on from having looked at French centre companies in part one, French flank companies in part two, to the final part of your battalion, which is your command. When we talk about command, we usually mean the officer with quite often a drummer, and in the case of the French, the eagle bearer, which you might possibly know as a standard bearer or colour bearer. The man with the flag. Additionally, you might have a second officer or an NCO, and in this case, we've got a sergeant as part of the command group here. Most games rely on you having some sort of leader or focal point to your units. This can have purposes for the game, making it easier to calculate units' line of sight is often done from the leader. And in other smaller skirmish games like Sharp Practice, your leaders are important for sending orders and adding effects to units' combat. And the command of your battalion is often the place that allows you to really go to town on your paintwork. Uniforms tend to be more elaborate. There's more opportunity for spending a bit more time picking out extra details, as this is where everybody is going to be looking, really. Models in front of us in the command group are, again, from the Victrix Middle Guard set. A little bit of alteration on the NCO. At the side here, I removed the epaulets and the top of the thistle-shaped pom-pom, and that's to mark him out as a centre company NCO rather than a flank company NCO. He is carrying what's called the port fanion. I have painted this blue as from my not completely extensive reading on the subject. These were often in company colours, and rather than it being sort of red for the grenadiers or green for the voltigeurs, you could go for blue, sort of orange, sort of purple, and another shade of green for the four centre companies if you wanted to vary the colour on your flags. There's a couple of details on the officer's uniform, which I think are worth pointing out to people wanting to paint. We have a little decorative plate, gorget perhaps is the right term. Somebody in the comments will correct me, I'm sure. Picked out in brass there. Officer's epaulets, using a metallic colour. It's usually the way to go. Silver or sort of golden colour for particularly high-ranking individuals. I'm going to just pick him up and have a look at the side of the bicorn here. See if we can just bring this to focus. We've got a little rosette, which is held in place by a pin. That's the French tricolour there. So white, red, and then blue in the centre. The blue is often going to be covered by the hat pin, so you don't have to pick that out. But just as a detail, if you're looking for a bit of colour. Sort of gold braid hanging from the sword here. Just done that with a ochre colour. The boots, down at the base of the boots there, we've got black leather, but then sort of this turn up at the top there in a lighter brown. Seems to be an accepted way to paint them. I'm sure some people with better knowledge of the tailoring can explain why. Collar, picked out in a bit of red there with white piping along the top. Greatcoats could be any colour. I've gone for French blue from War Games Foundry. They've got a nice triad of colours. A triad is a sort of middle colour, but also a deep colour and a lighter colour. And they're all matched together so that you can quite quickly achieve a look of depth to the colours. I've also used Austrian white on the breeches here, again from Foundry. You can of course make these up from other ranges. It just takes a little bit of experimentation to find out which colours work together. Foundry kind of take the guesswork out of it and speed it along. Good paints. Put the officer back. Drummers, we're quite fortunate that this guy has a greatcoat on, so that simplifies the process quite a lot. Drummer uniforms were very varied, quite often different from regiment to regiment. Could have blue jackets, could have green jackets in later years, and could have mixes of colours and intricate piping. So with the greatcoat, a bit easier. The drum with a blue band at the top, brown wood in the middle, is a fairly accepted way to paint a French drum, so a straightforward way to do it. We've given him red epaulets and a red thistle pom-pom to sort of mark out that he's part of the Grenadier Company. Quite often the Grenadiers would be at the head of the column, so a Grenadier drummer is a safe colour choice to make. And last member of our command group, the Eagle Bearer. So the eagle is actually at the top of the flagpole here. Not all companies provide that with their sculpts. Plastic ones, certainly Victrix and Perry do. Some companies provide them for metal flagpoles. I know that Front Rank do that. And if you have serious money to burn, there's a company in Russia called Avonpost who actually make cast gold eagles. I'm not quite sure what carat it is, but if you want proper gold, you can actually get that if you're so way inclined. Now, the flag that we've got on the eagle here is for the 7th Line Regiment, and it is an 1812 pattern. So for the French, there were different flags issued in different years. 1812 runs up to 1815. There was another flag released in 1815, but as far as I'm aware, not all regiments received it in the 100 Days campaign. So if you're doing sort of later period Napoleonic gaming, the 1812 is a good one to choose. Lets you do Russia, the German campaign, a battle for France, as well as the 100 Days campaign. And I quite like it. I'll show you the 1815 pattern. This is the one that's provided in the Warlord Games set. So not as ostentatious. The other flags that are provided here are the battalion fanions. So each regiment had a number of battalions, sometimes 3 was sort of the standard, but that did expand depending on which campaign and recruitment drives were on. The 1st battalion would carry the eagle with the regimental colours. The other battalions would not have an eagle, and their flag was plain depending on which battalion it was. So here we've got 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th. Quite often I find that people prefer to have the 1st battalion of all the regiments just so that they can display an eagle and a nicer flag. But of course, sometimes you might wish to have the 4 or 5 battalions of your favourite regiment brigaded together. So that's 1812 and 1815. We also have 1804. So 1804, lozenge shaped. These are from flags of war, so it's the 1812 one on my unit there. Good selection, good quality, good customer service from Flags of War always. So these would run 1804 to 1812 roughly, but as with uniform changes, not everybody received the flag or the uniform in 1812. So you've got a bit of leeway, and certainly these would cover the longest period if you like. So that was a bit of a whistle-stop run through of command units for Napoleonic French battalions, and I hope everything makes sense. If I've made any glaring errors, please point them out below, and I apologise in advance. And if you have any other requests for videos, please pop them below. If you haven't already, please subscribe for regular updates. Like and share as you will. And I'll speak to you next time. Bye bye.